As you can probably tell, I'm fascinated by all the various scams and cons. And probably the best example is what's known as Three Card Monte. Have you ever heard of Three Card Monte? It's a very old con game with a fascinating history, and it uses just 3 playing cards. Now, the whole point of the game is to keep track of one of the cards as the operator, that's me, mixes them around on the table. If you follow the right card, you win. If you follow the wrong card, you lose. Now, in a little bit, we're going to be playing Three Card Monte for real. And I want to explain that this game is like a quiz show. And I'll be playing it as if Angela is the contestant. That means no one else can give her hints or help her out. In other words, you'll be fending for yourself. I'm so sorry. This look of dread on your face. Don't worry, you'll be fine.
Okay.
Now, by all accounts, the best three-card Monte hustler of all time was a man by the name of Canada Bill Jones, who lived during the American Civil War. In 1 calendar year, he won $150,000 playing this little game.
Wow.
So no pressure.
Okay.
Now, the cards he would use were the Queen of Hearts, another perfectly identical Queen of Hearts, and the 3 of Spades. They call this card the money card because if you can follow it, you win the money. Now, there were a few ways that Canada Bill would mix those cards around on the table. Sometimes he would toss the money card down in the middle, and other times he would toss it down on the end. And then you'd mix the cards around a little. Okay, so now we're going to play for real. I want you to try to keep track of the money card. I'll toss the money card down, then I'll mix the cards around a little. Now, it can be confusing because I cross my hands, but you probably saw that the money card went over here, right?
No.
And that's how Canada Bill Jones won $150,000 playing this little game. Now, another great Monte hustler and the sometime partner of Canada Bill Jones was a man by the name of George Devol. There's a great story about George Devol. He once won all of a wealthy man's money on a passenger train. The wealthy man then pulled out a gun and pressed it to George Devol's head, demanding his money back. Mr. Devol took the guy over to a corner, he calmed him down. He said, look, I'd be happy to give you your money back, but I can't do it in front of all these people here because they'll demand their money back too, right? So here's what we'll do. I'll have you place one final bet. I'll bet all the money you've lost, and I'll let you win. And the guy said, oh, but I don't have anything to bet. So Devol said, hey, that looks like an expensive gun. Why don't you bet that? So they handed the money and the gun to a stakeholder for safekeeping. They went back to the table, and of course George Devol cheated him again, snatched up the man's gun, pressed it to his back, and forced him to jump off the moving passenger train. So now I'll show you how George Devol would run this con. Really, really no pressure. Now, he would toss the money card down on the end, and then he'd mix the cards around. Now, I'm not as good as George Devol, so you probably saw that the money card went over here, right?
No, it's over there.
Oh, no, I'm trying to teach you how the game is played. Trust me. And that's how George Devol won that man's gun. Now, I should explain that the game isn't played like this anymore. It was too difficult to keep track of the 2 red queens and the black 3. People found it too confusing. So these days, they play the game with 1 red queen and 2 black 3s, and that's how we'll play it going forward. Make sure the ink doesn't rub off or anything like that. Nothing tricky about them. Wow, this is a thorough inspection. Are you happy? The ink doesn't rub off, right? Okay. Now, I'll show you how the game is played on the streets of New York, where it is still being used to separate suckers from their money. Now remember, this is the money card, this is the card to follow. These days, the operator will toss the money card down, and then he'll show you that both of these cards are black. So when you bet on this card and find out that it too is black, some people theorize that in fact all 3 cards are black. Which is true. All 3 cards are black. I mean, this card is black, and this card is black, and this card is black. All 3 cards are black except for this one, which is red. Okay, this time, I'll show you how the game works, and I'll explain why it's so easy to lose, okay?
Okay.
When the operator tosses the money card down, you have to keep your eye on the money card. You cannot so much as glance at either of the 2 black cards over here, because the moment you glance at those cards, they'll switch the money card for one of the black 3s. See, they always keep the money card where you least expect it. So, now that you know how the game works, do you want to play for cash?
No.
I've suddenly lost all interest. Thanks very much. I'm just kidding. This time we are going to play for real, but it doesn't matter if you win or lose, because I'm not giving anything away if you win.
Okay.
This time I want to ask you a favor, Angela, which is I want you to try to keep track of the money card. In other words, I want you to follow the card with your eyes. So when I ask you to point to where the money card is, I don't want you to point to where you think the Queen of Hearts is or where you guess the Queen of Hearts is. I want you to point to where you see it go. In other words, trust your eyes, okay?
Okay.
Now, remember, Angela, don't bet on either of these red threes. This is the card that you want to bet on. I'll toss the money card down. And remember, Angela, don't bet on this black 3 over here. Don't bet on this black 3 over here. This is the card you want to follow. In fact, I won't even mix the cards until you say go. Tell me when to go.
Yep.
Okay, Angela, point to where you saw the money card go. Oh, I'm sorry, is there a little bend
Yes.
in the corner of that? Let me straighten that out.
Oh, man.
And that's why you should never play 3-card Monte. Right? We're a little devilish, right? But, you know, I want to give you an opportunity that neither Canada Bill Jones nor George Devol would have given you. So, this time, I will take the paperclip, and I will put the paperclip onto the money card. So now there can be no doubt about which one the money card is because it has a paperclip on it. Now, Angela, you need to remember that the 2 black 3s are only here to confuse you. Remember how last time there was a little bend in the corner of the card? I'm going to take that to another level. Because this time I will tear a corner off of the money card. So now there can be no doubt about which one the money card is because it's got a corner torn out of it. Now tell me, are you right or left-handed?
Right.
Would you hold out your right hand for me? But palm down like this. And just cover the corner up with your hand. Cover it completely. Perfect. Now watch closely, Angela. Because I'm going to mix those cards around. And I have to tell you, Angela, it's amazing how many people would bet on what seems to be the surest thing. Would you lift your hand and show everyone that corner? And you can see that it matches perfectly. And Angela, I'm going to give you these cards as a little souvenir and as a little reminder never ever to play 3-card Monte. Wasn't that fun?
Oh, yes.
There's no pressure, no money on the table, right? But that's why I'm holding the poker game after. And if anyone loses money in the poker game, you're welcome to play me double or nothing in 3-card Monte or any kind of controls.